It's time for a fucking roast. These cheeky fucks started 2017 strong by butchering a beloved 10-year-old series. However, they did their best to appeal to nostalgia by including facial animations that would be suited to the first game in the franchise. They later closed Visceral Games before moving its single-player Star Wars title to other studios, stating that they were going to deliver an experience that players will want to come back to and enjoy for a long time to come. They later stated that people simply don't enjoy linear games anymore. However, it doesn't take a fucking genius to know that Electronic Arts simply finds it harder to upsell a single-player game as opposed to a multiplayer experience. Any other fucking studio who had some of the most talented individuals in the world, the motherfucking Star Wars license, and the goddamn director of the first 3 Uncharted games, would see this as an opportunity to give the studio a blank check to get Game of the fucking Year. The business model of Electronic Arts simply isn't geared towards people who like video games. Their titles are designed to be for the casual audience who might buy 1 or 2 games a year and who think microtransactions are just the standard price of admission. Their sports titles are a perfect example of this business model. They are widely appealing to a casual audience, they are designed to be competitive, and they are filled with pay-to-win bullshit. In fact, FIFA microtransactions alone account for $800 million of revenue a year. This might be acceptable if their sports titles delivered true innovation. However, even the most hardcore fans are finding it hard to tell the difference from year to year. The Sims is also considered to be one of the most casual games available, and even for a game that was released in 2009, the full game with all DLCs is $400 fucking dollars. This isn't to say that Electronic Arts cannot recognize a good game when they see one. Publishing Titanfall 2, one of the most critically acclaimed shooters in a highly saturated market, was an excellent decision by the company. However, what wasn't a good decision was to release it between 2 of the most high profile and profitable substitutes fucking imaginable, and ultimately selling less than half that of the first game. At this stage, we all knew Electronic Arts isn't a consumer-friendly company. In fact, it was evident several years earlier when they were voted the worst company in America 2 years running. Electronic Arts is on the same fucking level as the company who spilled 210 million gallons of oil into the Gulf of Mexico and the company who is paying off other fucks to destroy the internet. The only reason I suspect they are not going to win the same title again is because they stopped the award in 2014. Electronic Arts has become a joke in the industry, as at the 2017 Game Awards, they were roasted on 2 separate occasions.
And the game award goes to, oh man, I have to pay a microtransaction to unlock. That's so stupid that this has to, hold on, I got this guys, here we go.
This is the thing.
Yeah.
And this is my idea. It doesn't have anything with the EA shit going on, with the loot box and stuff.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Look. I'm gonna say to you one thing. EA has been very good to me.
Yes.
And to be honest with you, they're getting, because it's nice to hate EA, blah, blah. I don't care about that shit. What I'm saying is this. All publishers fuck up sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Then we come to the Star Wars Battlefront clusterfuck. A situation so fucking laughable that you'd think the executives made a list of good ideas and a list of bad ideas and got them fucking mixed up. The process of making Battlefront 2 was to give a team of some of the most talented developers on Earth all the resources they needed to make a game based on one of the most beloved franchises of all time. Most companies would stop right there and enjoy all the praise, critical acclaim, and years of goodwill. But Electronic Arts instead decides to pump it full of pay-to-win microtransactions and make the progression slower than a crippled snail stapled to a dead turtle. In fact, to earn everything this game has to offer, it would take a player over 4,500 hours, or over $2,000. It doesn't even matter how they change it from this point. The hand has been shown, and the only regret of Electronic Arts is that they didn't get away with it. This whole controversy started when it came to light that it would take roughly 40 hours to unlock Darth Vader as a character. It doesn't even take this fucking long to unlock characters in most free-to-play games. The price of all heroes was then reduced by 75%. However, what they forget to mention is that the credit gained by completing the campaign was reduced by the same amount, offsetting the change anyway. But to a large majority of players, they only noticed the price decrease and proudly defended these awful business practices. But as if the hole couldn't get any deeper, they then tried to defend this system by claiming that it will give players a sense of pride and accomplishment, before quickly smashing the record for the most downvoted comment in Reddit history. Players didn't even get credits for anything other than simply being in games, meaning players were just rubber banding their controllers and getting just as much as they would for getting 200 kills. You can just feel the pride and accomplishment radiating off of them. It seemed more likely for Electronic Arts to add an AFK achievement before actually fixing this bullshit. Not to mention the credit gain of the arcade mode was fucking capped to stop players from farming it for the credits, as opposed to buying their shitty loot boxes. Electronic Arts was also caught with the review version of the game being significantly more generous in terms of credit gain, which would be perfectly acceptable if they had informed the reviewers that this was the case. Many people simply want the game to move away from pay-to-win microtransactions and implement a purely cosmetic system. However, this idea was rejected, stating that it would be restricted by what Disney would allow them to use. This is despite the fact that Data Miners found a shit ton of cosmetic options already in the game. It's as if Electronic Arts is so self-aware of its universal hatred that it's just accepted to double down on being a piece of shit, as opposed to taking steps to being more consumer friendly, which makes sense as a company, considering they are primarily dealing with a casual audience who doesn't even attempt to keep up with this bullshit or don't understand the wider implications for the industry. However, what Electronic Arts didn't expect is to have their game be voted worse than its original, which was developed over a decade ago, having a widely supported petition to have their Star Wars license revoked and to gain the attention of government entities in 3 separate continents. Hawaii Representative Chris Lee called the game
a Star Wars themed online casino designed to lure kids into spending money. It's a trap.
It was only until Disney got involved when Electronic Arts finally pulled microtransactions out of the game. However, this was a turning point for the company, as among the government pressure, the intervention from Disney, and an outcry from hundreds of thousands of Star Wars fans, Electronic Arts seemed to have learned its lesson, and we as consumers could all breathe a sigh of relief. Not really. I mean, are you fucking kidding? When companies make annual games, people often joke about it being a copy and paste of last year's release. But this shit is fucking frame by frame. And they do this because they can fucking get away with it. And mark my fucking words, this shit will be pay to win just like Battlefront 2, Need for Speed, or any other fucking sports game they decide to make. Electronic Arts is a company that is not going to push forward the games industry, and I don't think they'll ever, in the foreseeable future, make a game that is a contender for Game of the Year, or is considered a 10 out of 10 by a wide number of game critics. Because ultimately, critical acclaim, or widespread goodwill, does not mean a more profitable business. This is a painful statement to make, but the numbers don't lie. The company who made The Witcher 3, for example, have been praised for spending 3.5 years to create a game that came away with more perfect scores than they could even count. And after they released 15 free content updates, they went on to win the Developer of the Year award in 2015. And let's not forget the cheap as fuck expansions that have more content each than most other full-priced games. Needless to say, CD Projekt Red is a developer that cannot be praised enough in a time where loot boxes are all thrown into most AAA games. However, when you look at the revenue, Electronic Arts makes more money per year by selling pay-to-win loot boxes in just their sports games than CD Projekt makes company-wide. There is no incentive for a company to make their games better if they can simply use shitty business models to offset the need for a good product.